These are two complete works. The bridge, the running figures, the rain and the raft are in the same places, but they were made 30 years apart. Hiroshige printed the first in Edo in 1857. Van Gogh painted the second in Paris in 1887. He kept Hiroshige's structure, then changed the colour, the scale, the material and the frame. Why copy an image so carefully, only to make the copy visibly different? This is Utagawa Hiroshige's sudden shower over Shin-Ōhashi Bridge and Atake. Start with Hiroshige's whole print. A wooden bridge cuts across the lower half. People hurry over it under hats, umbrellas and a straw cape. Below them, one boatman poles a long raft of timber across the Sumida River. Then the sky closes. The Japanese title describes a yudachi, a sudden shower late in a summer day. The cloud arrives from above and the rain passes across everything beneath it. Bridge, river, shore, people. Hiroshige gives you no face to hold. The figures bend and move. Even the boatman becomes one dark mark against the water. The high viewpoint opens the river behind them, while the bridge climbs sharply across the sheet. It feels like a moment caught without warning. But this is not a drawing made in the rain. It is a colour woodblock print, built to make the same storm more than once. So look into the downpour. How do you print weather? The rain is the first answer. Look at the fine, dark lines. They do not stop at the bridge or bend around a figure. They cross the sky, the river, and the people in one continuous fall. The Metropolitan Museum calls this crossing pattern a difficult woodblock technique. A carved line must remain narrow enough to read as rain, strong enough to take pigment, and regular enough to survive repeated printing. Now lift your eyes to the sky. It is darkest at the top, then fades unevenly towards the distant bank. Rebecca Salter identifies this kind of irregular gradation as a form of bokashi, a printing method used to suggest rainy or stormy skies. The printer controlled the fade by brushing colour and moisture across the block. At the bottom, the blue deepens again. In the middle, the tiny raft gives the open river its distance. Rain flattens the scene. Colour opens it back up. The storm looks immediate because the labour has disappeared. But one name on the sheet does not mean one pair of hands. Return to the whole print and find the marks around its edges. Hiroshige signed as the designer. The publisher placed his own seal on the sheet. Behind those visible names stood the people who carved the blocks and printed the colours. Then came the buyer. Andreas Marx describes ukiyo-e as a chain of 5 active parties. The artist designed the image. An engraver cut the blocks. A printer laid the colours onto paper. A publisher financed the work, supervised production, and sold it. The consumer decided whether another run was worth making. Hiroshige did not personally cut every rain line into wood. That does not reduce his authorship. It tells you what authorship meant inside this medium. He made a design precise enough for other specialists to translate into a repeatable object. The publisher owned the blocks. Once the first run had paid for design and carving, later impressions could be produced at lower cost. Every successful sheet carried the possibility of another sheet, so the print is both image and system. A storm made by a designer, a carver, a printer, a publisher, and an audience. That system is how this small object began to travel. Place the rainstorm beside the series it came from. 100 famous views of Edo eventually contained 119 upright designs. Hiroshige moved through streets, bridges, temples, rivers, gardens, and weather. The city became a sequence of sheets. These prints belonged to a commercial urban culture. Shops sold them to townspeople, visitors, and samurai. A publisher could release a series piece by piece, and the wish to complete it brought buyers back. Hiroshige had already become the leading designer of landscape prints through his views of the Tokaido Road. In this late Edo series, the landscape is not wilderness, it is the city as people used it. A bridge under rain, a river carrying timber, a route interrupted for a few minutes by weather. The rainstorm was therefore not a private masterpiece waiting for a museum. It was a product designed to circulate, and circulation carried it far beyond Edo. Leave the bridge for a moment and move to Paris. By the 1880s, Japanese prints had entered shops, studios, exhibitions, and private collections across the city. The fashion was called Japonisme. Van Gogh had begun buying Japanese woodcuts in Antwerp. In Paris, he and his brother built a large collection. He displayed Japanese prints at the Café du Tambourin in March 1887 and searched through the stock of the dealer Siegfried Bing. At first, the prints could be decoration, merchandise, or something to exchange. Then they became instruction. Their flat colour, abrupt cropping, high viewpoints, and asymmetrical compositions offered a way past the painting Van Gogh had known. Hiroshige's rainy bridge was already admired in Paris. Van Gogh chose it beside another print from the same series, a plum orchard at Kamedo. He did not hide either source. The title now used by the Van Gogh Museum says exactly what the painting is: Bridge in the Rain, after Hiroshige. The print had crossed from a popular Edo market into a Paris argument about the future of art. Now go back to the bridge. Van Gogh's first decision was not colour, it was measurement. Look at the two works again. The oil painting is much larger, but the image inside it keeps the tall proportions of Hiroshige's print. Getting there took a slow transfer. Stephen Naifeh and Gregory White-Smith describe Van Gogh drawing a grid over a tracing of the small image, then making a larger grid on the canvas. Square by square, line by line, the bridge, figures, raft and shore moved into their new positions. That procedure matters because it separates fidelity from speed. Van Gogh did not glance at the print and improvise something similar. He studied its structure closely enough to reconstruct it. The standard canvas created another problem. Its proportions did not match the Japanese sheet. Van Gogh kept Hiroshige's image tall and left unused canvas around it. That remaining space became a border. The transfer preserved the skeleton, the paint changed the weather. Line the two works up. The bridge still rises from left to right. The same 5 figures cross it. The raft remains above them on the river. The dark shore still cuts the distance. Now separate them. Hiroshige's bridge is a restrained band of pale wood and red railings. Van Gogh turns it yellow and orange. Hiroshige's river is a cool blue-green field. Van Gogh pushes it towards turquoise and breaks its surface into visible strokes. The distant shore changes from grey to cobalt. The sky becomes brighter blue. Printed lines of rain become strokes of oil. Even when the objects stay in place, the pressure of the surface changes. The Van Gogh Museum describes the colours as more intense than the original. Naifeh and Smith go further. The image doubles in both size and intensity. That second phrase is an interpretation, but the difference is visible. Van Gogh follows Hiroshige's geometry and refuses his restraint. The careful transfer makes that refusal exact. Then he adds something the original never can. Move to the green border. Van Gogh filled it with Japanese characters copied from other prints. They do not belong to Hiroshige's rainy bridge, and the museum record does not present them as a translation of its title. So do not treat the border as a message we can casually decode. Look at what it does. Red signs run against green. Orange blocks interrupt the corners. A frame made necessary by the canvas becomes part of the painting's colour. The border announces Japan while revealing distance from the specific Japanese work inside it. Admiration, collection, and rearrangement occupy the same strip of paint. And because the source is visible, the transformation cannot pretend to be self-contained. Return to both complete works. Hiroshige gives Van Gogh the bridge, the figures, the raft, the high viewpoint, and the sudden fall of rain. His print also carries a production world Van Gogh did not reproduce: carved blocks, brushed colour, repeated sheets, and an Edo audience. Van Gogh keeps the structure, then changes the encounter. Paper becomes canvas. Printed pigment becomes oil. The colour intensifies. A new border gathers signs from elsewhere. Calling this theft would require concealment the painting never attempts. Calling it a duplicate would ignore every visible departure. It is a study that becomes a declaration. And that is what remains after the two images are aligned. Van Gogh's choices become clear because Hiroshige's choices are still there beneath them. The second masterpiece does not erase the first. It teaches you how to see it.